Welcome to Groundbreakers. I am your host, Nick Stilo, and my co-host, Joe Villar.
Welcome back, everyone.
And today we are talking about rent.
Well, a little bit more than rent. We can start off, gentlemen, by credit score and tenants and landlords.
I actually think this is a great thing that the Trudeau government announced the other day, that your rent payment should go towards your credit score.
I think it's fantastic.
I think that's fantastic.
I think
too.
it's
Why
not-
shouldn't it? It's a recurring payment, and if you're making your payments on time, why shouldn't it boost your credit score?
It's good for both the tenant and it's good for the landlord.
Absolutely,
It's good for the tenant because now you get rewarded for good character, right? When a landlord is doing their due diligence and looking at a potential renter application, they're looking at two things. They're looking at income stability, and they're looking at character, credit history. So it's very difficult for a renter to make that decision if they don't know what your rent payment history has been. They can see what your other payment history has been via your Visa payments,
cell phone.
your cell phone.
But these are all small payments compared to rent.
Absolutely.
Rent is going to be your
Right?
housing is going to be your highest payment.
But if
amount.
you're showing now that you're a good renter payment and it's showing on your credit history, well, that gives now the landlord confidence in you that you will also do the same with their property.
Okay, what about struggling families? So what about the family that can't quite come up with their rent every month and they are 2-3 days late, and now that actually brings their credit score down and negatively impacts their credit score? And especially with the new announcements that were also made that actually gives more power to tenants. We're landlords.
Yeah.
That's going to affect us big time.
Yeah, I agree. But again, in situations like that, it's not only their rent score that's going to go down, it's their entire credit is going to go down, because if they can't make their rent, then the chances are they can't make any of their other payments also. So
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah.
But I think it's a fantastic thing. I think this should have been implemented a long time ago.
I agree.
It's going to make it easier for both landlords and tenants alike to, work with each other.
Can I flip it on the other side? What about the people that already have bad credit score and already they have a track record of not paying their rent on time? Does this now hinder their ability to maybe get a place?
Of course it does. Because as Joe just mentioned a moment ago, as a landlord, you're going to look at their income and you're going to look at their credit.
Uh-huh.
So if you're seeing somebody's credit and it's in the low 600s or worse, you're probably not going to want them in your building because you know that you're not going to get
600
rent.
is pretty good though.
600
it's not
considered
average,
fair.
right?
I think 630 is the cusp of good.
Yep.
And then very good is 710, I think, and up.
Something like that.
So credit scores is key. Now, will this apply to all buildings, all condos, all houses, everything that's being rented? Is this applying to everyone?
Well, the credit score
Yes.
aspect will. I
Yes.
don't know if every landlord is going to check credit scores. I would presume that they will.
But this will
a prudent
affect
one will.
everyone that's going to be renting for the
Yes.
credit score.
Yes.
Or am I wrong, Joe?
That's the way I understand it.
Yeah, I haven't read the announcement either.
Yeah.
All I know is that it was announced.
When does
That's
this
the
come
way I
into
understand
play?
it.
Do we know that?
That's a good question.
That's good. So Nick is going to check it. I should technically be checking it, but it's okay. Nick is doing the job. Joe, so do you think, Joe, that this should you mentioned that this should have been implemented a long time ago? The credit score.
Yeah.
Why do you think that they hesitated or waited so long to implement this into the credit score system?
I don't think it was even on the radar before. I think now, because of the fact that, there is less available rentals available, the government needs to find ways to sort of provide more availability to people. So by providing this now credit scoring system to both the tenants and the landlords, it just increases that opportunity to rent more units.
And of course, this is going to help people in purchasing homes. It's going to give them a better credit score in order to get credit cards and cars. It's a good.
Absolutely.
It's a good thing for everyone.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're looking to eventually own your own home, then having a good credit score as a renter will absolutely help you when it comes to qualifying for a mortgage later on.
It's very interesting how the credit score system has always been in the back. And ultimately, that's the fundamental key core of renting. I mean,
It's a fundamental key core of many aspects of life, of our life, isn't it? Right?
Of course.
If we've got a good credit score, it just makes things easier to obtain. If you've got not so good credit score, not so easy.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you can already see a dramatic jump in your credit within 60 to 90 days, correct?
You can see it in 30 too if you make payments.
In as little as 30.
Yeah, sure you can. It'll be incremental. It'll be small,
But people say, "Oh, it's going to take me forever to get my credit back up." That's not true
Not
at
true.
all.
not true. If you make your payments on time,
Credit card,
and
car, home.
if you actually don't carry anything more than 40% of your available credit on a credit card, that also negatively affects your credit score. So if you know, if you've got a $10,000 limit and you're under that $4,000 range at all times and you pay it every month and you pay it early, your credit score will boost pretty quickly.
And that's another thing I wanted to mention with credit score. What is that number that we need to be under in order for us to start to gain better credit? It's 40% on credit cards.
It is 40% on credit cards.
Do you know, what about if you're late a month in paying rent? Does that affect you?
It will with this new proposed
Canadian
Renters Bill of Rights, right?
Is that right?
Yeah. If you're late, that's going to affect your credit score.
From only one month?
Maybe not from only one, but if there's a repetitive nature
if there's
there,
like two, for example, in the same year, yeah, sure it will.
Wow. So the threshold for credit cards is 40% of the initial credit limit.
Or the available credit limit.
Available credit limit. Car payments, what about that?
Same.
car payments, as long as you make your car payments every month, it's fine.
Really?
Yeah. There's no like threshold in terms of 40% as a credit card. It's just your monthly payment. As long as you make your monthly payment on your car loan, you're good.
Yeah, your credit will go up.
Yeah.
So now did you look it up?
Yeah, it doesn't say. I did look it up.
Okay, doesn't matter. Off we go. Now, there's another big, huge thing that got announced. And Canada now gave more power to the tenants opposed to the landlords. Did you guys hear about this?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we did.
Okay. As landlords, what does this mean to you?
Makes things more difficult, to be honest with you. Provides less incentive to invest in this type of product.
Look, I got to set the record straight here.
That's it.
All right. I got to set the record straight. People think that landlords are the rich getting richer and that we're slumlords and all we want is our rent. What they don't realize is that this is our business. This is the business that we're in. We're in the real estate development business. We're in the real estate acquisition business, and we're in the landlord business. And this is how we put food on our kids' tables, period. We didn't just have $70 million in our bank account or in our back pockets to build Old Bronte. We borrowed all that money, or a significant portion of it, and we put in a lot of money in order to be able to qualify to get that loan, because obviously no one's going to give you anything if you don't have your own skin in the game. And we're making payments every month. And we've built it. And we went through the development process. Once we finish that building, it'll be 8 years of my work and this man's work to be able to get to completion. And then we have another 50 years to pay this thing off. So to look at landlords like slumlords or like the rich getting richer, no, we made an investment. We took a risk. It can go sideways and it'll bury us for life.
Well, let's get a little deeper into this. So basically, what this new law for the tenants is proposing is that they now have more power to basically say, we don't have the money to pay and you cannot kick us out. What does this mean? Like, how come the government is not backing the landlords that are producing housing for people? And now, if they cannot pay, you must still hold them in there. If we flip to the opposite side of the border, in Florida, for example, as I'm a primary owner there, I'm a landlord, you can evict them on the spot the second they're even 1 second late of payment. So why haven't they implemented this here? Why are they giving more protection to tenants?
Well, so there is protection for both tenants and landlords, and it's the Landlord Tenant Board Tribunal, which allows you as a landlord or as a renter to be able to go to the tribunal and have a panel, a governing body, give a judgment on your case. So in the case of a tenant who's not paying their rent, there might be a legitimate reason. Maybe the landlord doesn't want to turn the heat on and it doesn't work, or they don't want to repair the furnace, and they're freezing cold while they've got a legitimate reason not to pay rent because their unit is cold. How can I live in here? But I also need a roof over my head, so I can't move out. So I'm not going to pay you the rent until you fix it. And oftentimes the landlord tenant board takes 10 months, 12 months to actually have a file seen by the panel and by the tribunal.
But this is something that'll take a long time. It's a big process. And within that process, they're still staying in there rent-free, right?
That's
Yes.
correct.
Now, what about if it's something as simple as, I cannot pay anymore? That's it. Everything is perfect. It's just, I cannot pay to stay here anymore. By law, you cannot evict them.
No, you have to take them to the tribunal.
There's a process,
There's a process.
and it takes time.
And it takes time and money.
Absolutely.
So
Or
why
you can give them cash for keys.
So now you can give that, you pay them to leave.
Yes.
What is
That's
that?
a great business model, don't you
It
think?
is a great business model.
Well, I want to adopt that business model.
Oh, don't say that.
Well, think about it though. This is absolutely mental. How can someone say, "Oh no, I'm not leaving. You got to pay me to leave"?
Brutal.
This is unheard
So
of.
you can do that over and over. You could become a serial renter
Multimillionaire.
and well, I don't know about multimillionaire, but you can move into a unit, pay your first and last, and then on your second month, default your payment. Tell your landlord, I can't pay my rent. I can't afford it. You can't kick me out. So either you take me to the tribunal. It's going to take you 10 months to a year to get me out, or give me 10 grand. And then next month they can do the same somewhere else. That's brutal.
Wow.
I think that's going to be short-lived, though.
Is it?
I think so, because now that they're implementing this whole credit scoring thing, sooner or later that's going to catch up to somebody, right? They might get away with it first
later
time,
is
maybe
more
the
than
second
sooner.
time, but by the third time, they've got a history. They got a track record.
Joe, we're talking 5-10 years.
Could be.
That's a long time.
I've taken some tenants to the tribunal, and my paralegal has dealt with multiple tenants that are professional tenants in
Jeez.
that respect.
They've mastered it.
Professional tenants. Yeah, they've mastered the system.
They mastered how
They've
to
mastered
take advantage
how
of
to
it.
take advantage of the system.
So why don't they implement a law that says if you are not able to pay, you must leave? Simple as that. You must leave. You cannot stay here no more.
City, the province had 1.5% vacancy rate in 2023. So where am I going to move?
But that's not your problem. That's what I'm saying. It's not your problem. You
But
guys are conducting
that's how.
a business.
But
You're
that's
not a
how the
shelter.
government is looking at it.
Right, but Nick, you're not a shelter. You're a business.
That's
and
right.
this is a business that you're running. So why do you have to house someone if they cannot pay? If they cannot pay, they cannot stay. That's a good tagline.
I like that.
Trademark that.
Can't
I like
pay,
that.
don't stay.
Yeah. No, but think about it. You're not a hotel. You are a business that is supplying people's lifestyle. And if they cannot live that lifestyle anymore, why do you need to house them until otherwise said by someone else that has no money in the skin?
Ask the government.
Has no skin in the money.
Don't know.
I don't want to
It's
ask
not.
the government.
It's
It'll
not
take forever.
right. It's not right. Should not be that way.
So again, I'm going to ask you guys, because you guys are more professional than I am, why hasn't the Canada embraced the American model on landlord-tenant?
Because Americans can carry guns.
So can Canadians, but just illegally.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. That you're absolutely right. So, but I am very serious. I think this is a topic that is very quickly talked about and then pushed under the rug. And I think that we should definitely bring it to the forefront in this episode. And I'm not going to let you guys go. We're definitely going to talk about it because it is very unfair. So now, if I move into one of your buildings, I pay the first and last, and then I say, guys, it's bad luck. I can't pay for it, but I can't leave either. What are you going to do?
There's a process.
So how long does that process usually last, guys?
Like 10 to 12 months.
So 10 to 12 months, they're staying rent-free. Let's assume that the judge now deems them to be bankrupt, personally bankrupt. Do you guys get any of that?
No.
So what do you do?
At that point, there'll be a judgment that will force them to move out. But they would have lived 10 to 12 months rent-free still until their file was seen at the tribunal.
While they're in courts, is the court able to freeze their accounts and say, if you make any excess income, you have to pay this first?
Well, I think just given the experience of the last few years, the government can freeze anybody's account.
That's for sure. Yeah, the convoy would definitely showed us that. But I am curious if that is part and parcel of the deal. Can that be acquired?
Only if there's a judgment against them. So if you, as a landlord, sue the tenant and a judge rules in your favor, in the favor of the landlord, then I think, can they garnish their wages?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Once a judgment is placed, you have powers to access.
Once a judgment is placed.
The judgment has to be placed first. So
but in the meantime,
while you're in the process,
nothing can be done.
Nothing can be enforced.
And they need to stay in your building. They need to
They
stay.
don't.
They're not
need to
leaving.
stay.
They're
They're
not
not
leaving.
leaving.
That's the
They're
problem.
not leaving.
That's the problem. So now that you guys are builders,
Yeah.
was that one of your main concerns?
Yeah, it was.
Truthfully.
It's a lot harder to have a conversation with somebody that can't afford to pay their rent. It sucks,
course,
man. That's a
definitely.
bad conversation to
Bad
have.
situations happen.
But it is the reality. And as a renter, you need to be honest with your landlord. And as a landlord, you need to be compassionate. And
Yes.
you need to extend some sort of
Find some common ground.
Okay, so guys, if I come to you,
Find
if
some common
I'm
ground.
renting a place from you and I say, look, guys, I have my first month in, last month out, I'm having tough times. I just want to let you know the next month is going to be a little tough, but I got your money for you. As landlords, hey, you understand. Okay, I get it. It's inconvenient for me, but I get it. At least now there's that open dialogue.
Absolutely.
But if all of a sudden you're expecting payment, you message them and say, you're a little late, and no response. See, now you're making this relationship a problem already.
good news, bad news, ugly news is always better than no news.
Of course. You want to at least hear some dialogue.
Answer your phone.
Yeah.
Or call.
Yeah. Or send an email.
Or send an email.
Communication is key.
I can't afford it this month.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to be late 4 or 5 days.
Yeah. So what's
Or
the worst
or
that can
can you
happen?
work with me and you spread this out a little bit further?
And most
whatever.
landlords will work with you.
What's the worst that could happen? The absolute worst is that we don't report it to the credit bureau.
That
Right? Because we know you've given us a heads up.
Yeah. So, for example, in my Florida home, I had my very first tenant did the exact same thing. They paid their first month. They paid their second month. The third month, they were a week late. I heard nothing. On that second week, they messaged me, said, Stefano, we love it here, but it's tough times. We just lost our job. Please bear with us. My immediate response was, thank you, I will. Don't worry about it. 2 weeks later, took them 2 weeks. They paid it all. Now, I could have been that guy that says, no, you pay it now. I'm but then now it's a big problem because they came to me.
Especially in Florida where you can kick them out 30 minutes after they're late.
Maybe less.
Yeah.
Maybe less. But there's nothing wrong with that dialogue. See, maybe that's the problem with this tenant-landlord situation. No one's talking.
Mm-hmm.
See, the problem is they maybe look at you guys as these all high and mighty rich guys that are driving your Ferraris that we can't talk to them. But in reality, if you just go to a landlord and say, look, I love it here, but dang, man, life sucks right now. Maybe you guys will turn to him and say, we get it.
So for the record, I don't drive a Ferrari.
Drive something else.
The look,
I plead the fifth.
but the look of the builder and the landlord situation, you're absolutely right. It's either slumlords, right? Which is it's more not common than, it's very uncommon. So it takes one slumlord to make everyone slumlords. Okay, but it's really not like that. So maybe that's the kind of dialogue that should be happening when the government implements these things. They should start saying, we need an open dialogue situation here. Maybe that would solve the problem.
It should be balanced. It should be taken into consideration both the tenant and the landlord's perspective, not solely focusing just on the tenant's needs, but also focusing on the landlord's needs also.
I agree. What happened, Nick?
Well, you brought the government up again.
Yeah, of course.
And
Because they always have their hands in the cookie jar, man.
and the affordability comes from taxes, or high taxes rather. Affordability comes from increased cost of living, increased cost of groceries. Lower the tax. Get rid of the carbon tax.
Lower the tax.
Lower the gas tax.
Get the money where?
How about turn on the pipeline?
But this is okay. But you need a different government for that.
But
It is.
the country
Canada
has so
has the
much
most
natural
oil. Yes,
resources
yes, of
that we
course.
can sustain ourselves. Why are we selling it to just rebuy our own gas at a profit? Where's the economics in that?
I believe you. But not to steer off the beaten path. When it comes to still landlords and tenants, here's the problem. If you go across province, okay, let's go to Alberta. Alberta's laws are not like here. Alberta, you can evict a tenant. You can lock the doors. And then now it is the tenant's responsibility to go to court. You technically don't even have to start the appeal. So it does vary from province to province. Ontario right now is incredibly strict and very much on the tenant side. Because I have people that own properties in Alberta and they say it is not like here. They can lock the door. Come and get it.
Sometimes it comes down to the governing body.
Yeah, 100%.
The governing body will dictate that environment.
Sure. And then Nick, you were saying that the government has to stop charging people taxes, so this way they can pay their rent, this and that. But
well, because everything trickles
I don't
down.
see it though.
Raise the carbon tax, that raises the gas prices, that raises the fuel cost to the transporter bringing the groceries to the store, which raises the stick of butter.
Where
from
does the
$8
government
to
get
where?
money?
Where
So where are we
is
getting
the
money?
stick of butter going to go to now? Is it going to be $10 next week?
Where? Yes. And where are we going to get the extra money though? If it's not for taxes, where? You can't say the pipeline, because the pipeline is something that's going to take a heck of a long time.
No, all they have to do is turn it on. It's not going to take a long time. It's going to take a new government.
I don't think it's that easy. Just
Well,
turn it on.
It was running before.
There's silence for a reason in the room. I don't know. Joe, what do you think? I don't know.
I agree with Nick's comments.
About
I agree
just
with Nick's
turning
comments.
it on. I think there's more at stake than just turning it on.
I think Canada has a ton
Resources, yes.
of natural resources that is poorly mismanaged by our government. Full stop.
Everything trickles
Full
down
stop.
from gas.
From
Everything.
gas is the hub of it all.
Everything.
On a per capita
the
basis.
shirt that I'm wearing was delivered to a store.
Yeah.
If the delivery charge went up, the shirt went up, I spent more to buy it.
100%.
Forget the shirt. I got enough shirts. I could live without an extra shirt. But what about that stick of butter that is currently $8? And now with the carbon tax going up, could it be
23%.
$9? Could it be $10?
No,
A stick
it will
of
be
butter.
but it's 23%, so it'll probably go even higher than that. And people can't complain because you're going to buy butter anyway.
No,
You're going to buy less of it.
people are told they can't complain.
No, hold on. They will buy it, my friend, because if you need milk, you're buying milk. Charge $20, you're buying milk. You're not going to go get a cow and milk it.
I got 4 kids at home.
Okay.
And I
tell me.
buy 2 bags of milk a week.
Yeah.
Sometimes 3.
Yeah. So what are you going to do? You're going to buy
I
it.
can't say no.
Joel, that's what I'm saying.
Maybe
Charge
not
20
to
bucks, you're buying
milk,
it. Okay.
but the other things.
The things that are not that necessity, you mean? Yeah. I understand.
Other things.
Like strawberries. You don't need strawberries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, but
So that affects your disposable expenditure. Absolutely it does.
okay, baby formula. Guess what happened? The very first thing that they said when the carbon tax went up 23% is watch the price of baby formula. You need it, period. That is a stop right there. You need that. When that, right now, currently, I think a tub of it is like almost $60.
Wow.
What's going to happen now with the 23% increase? But so now, going back one final time to the landlord-tenant situation,
Mm-hmm.
if all of these chain reaction effects are going to take place, you as builders, what is your initial want to continue to build if there is no support for the landlord situation?
Well, we've said it before. Our trajectory is all rentals for now.
You're a landlord.
We want to be large-scale landlords. So we're going to continue to build rentals. There is incentives for landlords. There are programs like RCFI or ACLP rather, and MLI Select that are offered by the Canadian government that incentivizes more purpose-built. There is the HST that's been removed for purpose-built for anything built before 2035. There are investment tax credits for building green buildings. There's a lot of incentives for us to continue to do what we do. And we're not going to stop doing that. The flip side is if you build condos, what happens if they can't afford to close? See all these fires that are going up? All these construction sites that are mysteriously having a townhouse burn up in flames overnight, and it's only one townhouse?
Because they can't pay it. There's a problem
Somebody
with paying
can't
it.
close.
They can't close, basically.
Somebody can't close, so they go and light it on fire. You think it's the developer that lights it on fire? The
No,
last thing a
no,
developer wants
of course not.
is for their site to go up in flames, because to
put in all that
to
money.
put in a claim on your builder's risk insurance policy is almost impossible. We had to put in a claim for our builder's risk on one of our builds, and it was nearly impossible to get a dime out of the insurance company without going through fiery hoops to show that you legitimately had something that merited that insurance policy, that merited that claim on the insurance policy. We had to show every bill and every report and every engineer's report saying, yeah, this was a legitimate claim.
Oof.
You think that a builder wants to have their townhouse go up in
never.
flames
Of course
overnight?
not. How much money was in the labor and
but
everything?
you see all kinds of keyboard warriors on Instagram. Oh, it was the builder. Yeah, right. It was the builder.
Because there's no proof. They're just so social media just created a platform where people can spew out whichever they feel with absolutely no facts and no one to fact check them. Right? Keyboard warriors. I can easily say, well, builders are all behind it all. That's not something
Very easy to say, yeah.
Very easy. I have no proof. So you're absolutely right. The fact of the matter is, a builder, when he's building something, the last thing he wants to do is destroy all the work that he just did.
So to your earlier point,
Yes.
what's going to make us want to continue to build what
Yes.
we want to build? It's the incentives that we have that are available to us by the Canadian government to continue to build purpose-built rental buildings and affordable housing. So that's what's going to incentivize us. And unfortunately, the flip side to that and the negative side of that is that you might have situations where a tenant cannot pay their rent.
Uh-huh.
But let's look at the flip side of the coin completely on the condo side. Like I said before, if I was a condo developer today with interest rates where they are now, I would be scared on closing to see how many people actually close.
Of course. No, of course.
That's an even bigger problem because now you have a built building and you have nobody that's going to pay you for that.
Oh my goodness. Until the next episode.
You can find us at oneurban.ca across all our social media channels and One Urban Media on YouTube. And with that, a Groundbreakers out, where dreams get real and bricks get laid. Until next plot twist, happy building.
See you next time.
Let's go.